Welcome to Castle Harbor's Saturday Racing. It's January 16th, 2016. We have 7 boats out on the line. It's a beautiful day with about 5 knots of northerly breezes. We set up a windward leeward course and a long starting line, so everybody has a nice shot at a good start. So there's 25 seconds to go. There's an adverse current here going from right to left on your screen, which means you want to stay up close to the starting line prior to the start, because like this boat way down there, they're toast. They're just way below the line. They're not going to be able to make it in time. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh, clear! Peanut and Filbert were right on the line. Looking good. Looking good. If Peanut can tack and cross these other 2 boats, I would think about doing that if I was them. Because if the wind lifts, that is, veers to the right like it's forecast to do, and ooh, it looks like it's doing it right now. You see how high Celia is pointing? So that these boats down here, if they tack, they couldn't cross Celia. So right now, Celia is winning this race. All they have to do now is cover the fleet. These boats, like this one that was way down current, is starting last because they just got too far away from the line. Okay, and Cashew couldn't quite clear our anchor line because that current running against us, it swept them into the committee boat's anchor line. So you got to be careful and judge your lay lines when approaching these crossing situations. And the dark blue boat is heading a little lower than normal to try and roll over Barbara Ann and steal their wind, get them in their wind shadow, and I believe they have accomplished that now. Now, I like going right because the forecasts all say that it's going to be a persistent shift to the right. So you want to stay to the right of the beat so that you're in the best position to capitalize on those persistent veering shifts. And notice how the blue boat is sailing full. They're sailing not quite as high as Barbara Ann, so they've been going faster. All right, so let's see. Violet has tacked over. I think that's a good move on Cliff and Leo's part. Get to the right. All right, well, let's see what happens. Here we are at the weather mark, and remember Celia won the start because they started near the race committee boat, caught a veering shift, a lift, and they were in first place. But they didn't cover these boats that sailed to the right and caught another shift to the right, which of course was in the forecast. Therefore, they went from first place to like probably 6th because they didn't cover. You know, when you're in the lead, you gotta really think cover. In these smooth seas, you can luff up head to wind to shoot around the mark, but I don't know if they're going to have enough momentum. They may hit that mark because there's an adverse current here that tends to push you down on the mark. Oh, looks like they got around. But Peanut had, because they didn't luff up, has more momentum, so they passed Filbert to go into first place. And Violet, skippered by Cliff, is also going around really fast. They've maintained really good momentum. They may also roll over Filbert. All right, so Jose's coming in here, sailing loose. That's good. And they are going to encounter this adverse current soon. So they really need to keep that speed up and don't luff those sails like they're doing right now. You got to keep your speed up. If you have to luff, just luff in the last half a boat length or so, and you can get away with it. But I don't think they're going to have enough momentum, and they're going to get rolled by these other boats eventually because of that. Okay, so these guys are coming in with a full head of steam. They're going to roll over Barbara Ann. And they're the guys that didn't cover. We're in first. Gotta cover. You're at the finish. And Violet is going to take the honors in race number 1, followed by Peanut. And looks like Barbara Ann. Alright, so for some reason Cashew did a turn and didn't finish. Now they're finished. And so Barbara Ann was 4th. Actually, Filbert was 3rd. And it looks like this other yellow boat, Celia, has their main strapped in way, way, way too tight. So the blue boat was able to pass them. They need to get that main. Woo! They need to get the main way out. Alright. Here we are at the start of race number 2, and that's the C flag, Charlie, for change of course. We're going to shift the weather marks. I wanted to let everybody know there's a change of course. Only one boat really noticed that and asked the question, what is that? So, because the wind shifted 15 degrees to the right. All right, we got 20 seconds to go. Cashew's over the line. They need to get back as fast as they can. The blue boat has the rights on Peanut and can force them up. Peanut can't come back down on them. In a racing situation, Peanut would be tapped out. 1 second. Cashew! Over! And it looks like Violet won that start, because if any of these boats tacked over, they'd have to duck Violet. And Celia's not doing too bad. She's not going very fast. They got the mains strapped, and but their weight placement is good. Now they may be trying to pinch up and get a super clean lane of air. All clear! See, he let the main out. They're good. They're picking up speed. That looks good. All right, so looks like Violet's winning this race at the moment. And we need to go up and shift the weather mark because of this wind shift. We need to get it done sooner than later. Here we are at the weather mark, and Violet has maintained their lead very nicely. They're just underlaying the mark, but they won't have any problems because there's not a lot of wave action to slow them down. They can shoot it up, which they didn't actually have to do because they just got a little puff there at the end that lifted them up, because the apparent wind goes aft when you get a puff. Now we have a port starboard situation here, and this yellow boat should duck these two. Filbert will round second. All right, Andy. Followed by Jorgen in Barbara Ann. Good job. Jorgen's a newcomer to the sport, and I think they're doing great. Because a lot of these guys have been sailing a long time. Alright, so we had shifted the mark 50 yards to the east, which lengthened this reaching leg. We shifted the mark because the wind shifted about 5 degrees and I wanted the beat to be square. So they will continue on their reach and then jibe around for the run back to the finish line. Now Celia needs to watch out because Peanut may roll them. Celia's getting ready to be in Peanut's wind shadow. So Celia needs to maybe head up, make sure they get clear air. Either that or head way, way, way down to get below and out of the wind shadow of Peanut. Here we are at the reaching mark. First 2 boats are around. We're right at the zone, the 3 boat length circle, and so it looks like these 2 boats are overlapped. Therefore, the green boat must give the yellow boat room to round the mark. Okay. So, they're now headed on their run. And we're going to go set up a finish line. Ooh, Barbara Ann's got their main really strapped, and they're going to get rolled by these other 2 boats unless they head up and let that sail out. They're just choking that boat the way they have the sails trimmed. We're having a little luffing match here with Peanut and Celia, and Peanut has to remember that you want to win the war, not the battle, and so they're going so high that they're losing Barbara Ann, and I think they really shouldn't be going this high. I think they should be splitting the difference between Barbara Ann's course and where they're now heading, and that way I think they could roll Barbara Ann, but now they're going way too high, trying to win this little battle, but I think they're going to lose the war with Barbara Ann. All right, so Violet was first, followed by Filbert, and now Barbara Ann third. Good job. And we got a little horse race going on here. Let me just record these. So Barbara Ann was third, and now let's see who's going to be in fourth. Got a sight down the line, and it looks like Celia. So Celia fourth, Peanut fifth. Celia fourth, Peanut fifth. Followed by Cashew sixth. And Paul seventh. All right, so we're going to get started on the next race shortly. Here we are at the start of race number 3 with 45 seconds to go. And Cashew's doing a good job of staying up on the line, because in these light winds with an adverse current, you don't want to get stuck way down the leeward because you may not get back in time. There's 30 seconds. See, like this boat is, you're not going to make the start on time. And we got 13 seconds. You guys are probably going to be over, but you can just dip below the line. See, the line's here between the red flag and the marks. You got to head down. Yeah. 2 seconds. 1. Cashew over! Yeah. And look at this. Paul.
I told you.
Oh, clear! Paul won the start. They started going fast at the race committee boat. And look at this, Violet's coming on here with a full head of steam. These guys have the boat moving really fast today. The light air wizards are at it again. And so Paul is doing a good job of gassing them. by holding a little high, but they need to maybe now come down a bit and get that boat moving because they're a little stalled out. They're going slow. Filbert's coming over and the tide is sweeping them down, maybe into the race committee boat's anchor line. Need to be aware of that. Alright, so we'll follow the boats up the beat and see what happens. Well, the blue boat has been pinching quite a bit, and so Violet passed them because they're sailing the boat faster. And actually, and the helmsman on this boat should move forward. And they're actually sailing into a little bit of a knock. I'd tack back. They're sailing away from the mark. See, the mark is like over here. Well, we're almost to the weather mark, and Violet has done a really good job of sailing right up the middle of the course, fast, and staying on the lift attack. So they're going to round the mark first. Woo, they're going to have 3 firsts for today. And Cashew's been moving really well this race. And the blue boat has just been pinching too much. So they were passed. They were in first place at one point, but they're now in 5th because of the not sailing it right in the groove. Yeah, so Violet's first around, followed by Filbert and Cashew. And then Celia attacked below Paul, but I'm afraid they're going to get rolled because when they tacked, they lost a lot of momentum, and Paul knows that if they just head down a little bit, they can roll them, gas them, put them in the wind shadow, and they are toast. And in fact, they're so stalled out that even Peanut will probably roll them because of the extra momentum that Peanut has. Peanut overstood a little bit. And when you do that, you're giving up places, because when you overstand, ooh, Peanut's like way oversteering. When you overstand, you're sailing a much longer course. So had they hit that ley line just right, they probably would be ahead of the blue boat. All right, so the boats are on their reaching leg in the last race, and we're gonna start picking marks up. Well, there's the reach mark, and we're just about, these boats are just about in the zone, so the blue boat must give the green boat room to round the mark. Now, what I would do if I was the blue boat is I would head up a little bit and jibe around so that you're right smack on the stern of the green boat, and you may be able to, yeah, that's pretty good. And you may be able to pass them one way or the other, but it looks like they're heading below Peanut, and that's usually not the best way, but we'll see. Here we are at the finish, and Violet won the 3rd race. Filbert was 2nd, Cashew 3rd. Now here comes Celia, Peanut, Paul, and Barbara Ann.
So was that your first time?
Well, welcome back to the dock. That was great weather, wasn't it?
Beautiful.
Great weather.
I love sailing out there and that stuff. Well, today we had in race number 1, Celia started at the race committee boat and caught a really nice lift. But even though they were winning the race, they ended up like 6th at the weather mark. Bro, how come that happened?
I have no fucking clue. However, people
Let's
with
see.
30 years of experience tells me that going downwind on that boat is like putting the brakes on something. So,
Well-
any suggestions?
Yeah. From our perspective, what happened is y'all didn't cover. You kept going all the way to the left. You banged the left port tack lay line, and the people that went right got a nice little lift, and you went from first to sixth.
And we noticed that the right side was actually pleasant afterwards.
Well, that was in the forecast. If you go to windguru.cz, they predicted these persistent shifts to the right. Yes, sir.
Question on that, though. I looked at that, and in an hour's time from 11 o'clock till noon, the wind was going to shift 90 degrees to the right, but it was going to go from 2 knots to 1 knot. So then, I mean, if it really happened that way, if it did exactly what the forecast
On
did.
Windguru?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the wind, you normally go where the new
We were
wind
looking
is,
this morning and
Yeah.
didn't say that.
but if it's going to be, if it's forecast to be softer, what would you do?
Jose, you were doing good in parts of that race.
Yes.
In Barbara Ann. But you couldn't lay the mark. Remember that
Yes.
one race where,
The third one.
yeah. And so one of the factors, one of the reasons why was because there was an adverse current against you. And whenever you get in a lull, the current factor becomes a much bigger factor, right? So what I saw you doing here,
I did the same thing.
if that was the ley line there in green, okay, you guys were below the ley line. And so what you did about 3 boat lengths before the mark is to try and luff up and get around it.
It was impossible.
It's never going to work in these light winds with an adverse current. But what would have worked is to do the counterintuitive thing, which is just keep heading this way. In fact, even head down a little bit away from your objective, which is like your mind is going, what? But you gain so much speed, and in these smooth seas, you can stick it up and glide a long distance, but not this long, not 3 boat lengths. But if you get going really fast, you could go here, and then you could sneak it around, and you would have made it, and you would have been. Will the crew of the mighty Violet, please come forward. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Again, good job. The Light Air Wizards do it again. The winners for January 16, 2016. See you next week.